I may have done like a little toe drag, like dance.
That's
But that was
hilarious.
it.
I needed that laugh, Jesse. Thank you. Turn your camera off. Turn your camera off on your phone. Turn your camera off on your phone. Yeah, because we see all that you're doing with your fingers.
It's a bad angle, Tony. They expected better of you.
And here, I need the phone anyway because it goes in here.
I was taking care of the petitioners at the root. I was giving them all different sorts of drinks and food and.
Thank you, because it's hot out there.
I know. I said, you guys really need to come inside every now and then to get some of this cool air.
Okay, you can turn your camera back on. Well, actually, it's time for you to play, isn't it? Oh, no. But yeah, you can turn your phone back on.
Y'all have a happy, safe
I don't celebrate that stuff. But if you do, same to you.
I know.
Oh,
Y'all have a great afternoon.
okay. Mm-hmm. Put your phone, this camera back on.
Volunteers immediate Mineral Park to assist with the cleanup, and then get directly at Flavin Public Library for a celebratory pizza party at 11 a.m. Summer adventure water bottles, although all necessary supplies and water will be provided. All ages are welcome. Children must be accompanied by an adult. While registrations are not required, attendees are asked to inform organizers if they plan to attend a pizza party to ensure sufficient food for everyone. The post-cleanup celebration will be at 11 a.m. at the William F. Latham Public Library, 2801 4th Street in Little Rock.
What's wrong with this one? It's going.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, it's Thursday morning, a little after 9 o'clock. You heard music, so you know it's time for the workplace here exclusively on KABF 88.3 FM, Voice of the People Community Radio. I hope you're having a great Thursday morning so far. It is hot, and we're going to try to make it a little hotter up in here. Just want to say thank you for tuning in this morning. You could be doing a lot of other things. I know a lot of people may have family in for this holiday, may be up doing some things, or just may be laying around the bed just resting. But I'm so glad that you tuned in to KABF 88.3. Been around for almost 40 years as a voice in the community. Coming up on a celebration, our 40th anniversary in August. And so, like I said, just want to thank you for tuning in. Once again, I'm your host, Toney, and as always, my illustrious, vivacious, fierce co-host is in the studio.
Grand Rising humans.
Do you have any announcements?
I do have some announcements. First, I want to say thank you for the grace that you all have extended to me, because I said that I was going to be at the library all of these days from 10:30 to 1 p.m. and I am no longer able to do that. And so I appreciate your grace. I also want to shout out to Mr. Henderson, who came by on Tuesday to sign the petition. Really appreciate you for that. I want to let you know that there are some permanent places where you can go and sign the petition, all of the ballot initiatives. This is not just for the reproductive justice. This is for all of the initiatives, which include the Freedom of Information Act, marijuana, casino, period tax, our abortion amendment. Yes, at least 5 or 6 of them. And here are places that you can go right here in Little Rock. The U Center, 4 Office Park Drive in Little Rock, 72211. And that's Monday through Saturday. Well, actually, it's not Monday through Saturday. Tomorrow is the last day. So you can go to the Youth Center for Office Park right here in Little Rock and sign all of the petitions. You can also go to Wrap Right Packaging, Wrap, W-R-A-P, Right Packaging at 11323 Arcade Drive right here in Little Rock. And again, tomorrow is the last day, and they are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for you to come and sign the petitions. Want you to know that we have reached our goal of getting signatures from all 50 counties. So excited about that for the Arkansas Abortion Amendment. We are still collecting signatures, however, because we want to go over and above the number. So however many they decide to kick out, we will have someone to replace them. So please continue to sign. But shout out to Arkansans for limited government, because they really did do that. We've got all 50 counties.
Okay, thank you for those announcements, Denise. I just have a couple of announcements I need to read. Bluff City Rodeo Association's 2nd annual Pine Bluff Takeover. The Black Cowboys are invading the Bluff, and this will take place July 6th at 7 p.m. at the Pine Bluff Convention Center. It's located at 1 Convention Center Drive in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 71601. That's July 6th at 7 p.m. The Black Cowboys are invading the Bluff. Tickets are available at Eventbrite. The 2024 Sixth Bridges Book Festival. The Central Arkansas Library System, CALS, is excited to announce that the 2024 Sixth Bridges Book Festival will be held September 23rd through the 29th, 2024. This year's festival chairperson is Senator Joyce Elliott, a CALS board member and former high school English teacher. The event will feature award-winning, best-selling, and emerging authors in virtual and in-person sessions and special events. Most festival events will be free and open to the public. Most festival events will be held at CALS Library Square in downtown Little Rock. Authors will continue to be announced throughout the summer. For more information, go to www.cals.org. That's www.cals.org.
I do have another announcement, Toney. Is that okay?
Yes.
Polly D Farms presents 4th of July food and drinks, music, fireworks show, ATV and tube rentals, RV, tent and camper rentals, and horseback riding. The music will be by Trey Mac 870 with special guest Lil Squall. Food by Southern Ho. Location, Polly D Farms, and the gates open at 3 p.m. And the location is 3469 Taloha Road in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And so you have a 4th of July event happening in Pine Bluff, and everyone is invited. There will be free parking. There's a free parking area, and kids 3 and under get in free. And you can contact polydfarms.com for ticket sales. polydfarms.com. That's where you can get your tickets for the 4th of July event hosted by Polly D Farms.
In that announcement, you say food will be provided by Southern
Ho. How you pronounce Heaux? Ho.
H-U-X?
Heaux.
H-E-A-U-X.
Yeah. What's the part?
I just, when I heard it, and I'm glad you spelled it, because just it said Southern Home, and I was like, huh? So.
I'm just reading what's on the flyer.
So also, I just want to, on the Six Bridges Book Festival, where Senator Joyce Elliott former Senator Joyce Elliott is the chairperson. Just want to give you an update on Senator Elliott's progress. For those of you who have been listening, she suffered a stroke last week, and the update is that she is doing better. She is responding, and that we know it's going to be a long road to recovery, but she is starting to do a lot better. So just want to give you that update. And so this morning, I want to, well, first of all, let me do this. And as I do this, I'm going to, talk about this issue a little bit. So the views and opinions expressed on the workplace do not reflect the views and opinions of KABF staff, management, or board. The views and opinions expressed on the workplace are those of the workplace and the host of the workplace. That's something that I used to do in every show. Before every show, kind of got laxed in it, but I'm going to start doing it again, because yesterday I was on. Well, it started a couple of days before, but yesterday I sat in on Pat Ward's Arkansas Talk Show. And I want to encourage our listening audience, if there is a pushback or there's an opinion that you want to share, or you feel that needs to be said, please call into the show and express that opinion. Please call into the show to talk about it. Please call into that particular show and have a discussion. What happens is that when you call in after the show and leave a message or want to talk to management, it kind of gets skewed a little bit, because management may not know what was said on that show. So if you call in and give your opinion at that moment to the host, that it may be able to clarify some things, or it may be a discussion that needs to be had. And so yesterday, after Arkansas Talks, there was a message left, and the message was that we needed, and the message was we, and I guess they were grouping the station into this, that we need to quit bashing Donald Trump. That the person said some things that about Hunter Biden, that he was openly selling drugs, that Joe Biden had ruined this country financially, and that Donald Trump is there to to not so much save us, but Donald Trump will do a better job, and that we need to quit bashing it. And so, once again, the opinions of the host is their opinions. But more importantly is, I don't know, and I said this before, this station is a community station. So that means that it's not a conservative talk show. It's not a conservative radio. It's not a hip hop station. It's not a gospel station. It's not a blues station. It's not a jazz station. It's a community station. So the voices of the community are expressed through the hosts who have their shows. And once again, if there is something that you feel that you want to have a conversation with that host, call in and express your feelings. And I think, well, I know, I don't consider talking about issues in the political realm or whatever, and whether it's in the city, whether it's in the advantages, disadvantages, or the problems with these systems or with anything else. It's not bashing, it's just being truthful about what is actually going on. And so to that end, I think that, like I said, if there's a problem or there's an idea or there's an opinion you have, please call in.
But I don't think those people want to call in. Because if you call in, that means that you're saying, I am interested in engaging you in dialogue around this issue. If you call in, you say, yes, I hear you, I hear your perspective, and I disagree with it. And because I disagree with it, I want you to hear my perspective so that we can go back and forth and have a conversation and a dialogue by presenting our thoughts and our ideas on the subject. That's what happens when you call in. People like this woman, they call management because they want management to shut it down. That's what they want. They want to call and complain with the expectation that you're going to do something about it. Because I don't like what you're saying about Donald Trump, I'll stop listening to your show. And I know you don't want to stop me to stop listening to your show. So you're going to go over there and make them stop saying that. That's why people call management, in my opinion.
And you're right. You're right. That is a fair assessment. And that's why I wanted to make that disclaimer at the beginning, is that as long as a host is not violating any FCC rules or regulations, it's their show. They can talk about whatever issues they want to talk about, and if they want to talk about the negatives of Donald Trump, then they have that right. And there's management is not going to police a host if that host is within the rules and the regulations. It's no different that I wonder, would this person call into Fox News and say, "Will you quit bashing Joe Biden?" Because that's all Fox News does. Will you quit talking about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden? And so I think that's one of the problems that we have in this country, is that we don't want to play fair. We don't want a level playing field. A lot of people want to say what they want to say, but we don't want to give you the right to say anything. And so that, I think that's one of the issues.
Before you get started, I wanted to make sure I gave you this information, since you seem so perplexed about Southern Ho. So Southern Ho is a food truck, and it was established in 2022, and they offer breakfast, brunch, food, they offer breakfast and brunch. They are a food truck and catering business, and they have vegan options. So that's the Southern Ho.
Okay. And so the other day, phone lines open 501-433-0088, 501-433-0088. As the conversation goes on this morning, you want to call in, you want to be a part of it, you want to discuss or give your opinion, feel free to do so. Please do so.
So I'm still trying to figure out why you were so perplexed about the term Southern hoe.
The word, it said Southern.
Yeah, what
hoe.
about the word?
Hoe.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know about anybody else, but when I heard the word hoe, I was like, huh?
Yeah, but why were you like, huh?
Because when you hear the word hoe, you know, it one of the things that first comes to your mind is in where I grew up, hoe, you know, someone that's hoish.
What does hoish mean?
Someone that is very promiscuous.
Or someone who is free with their bodies?
If that's a term,
I mean,
if that's a term
so,
that wanted to use.
yeah,
yes.
so if you say, if this person wants to claim that word, and if you say that means you're promiscuous, it could be that that society has conditioned you to believe that a woman who is free with her body is promiscuous, instead of saying she has free agency.
Well, it doesn't mean, it doesn't even have to be categorized as a woman. It can be categorized as a man.
Well, you
also.
said woman.
Yeah, but it also means a man
Okay.
too. It also means a man too. You know, I said woman, but any person. And
well, isn't there a song where the man says, "I'm a hoe"? You know, I'm a hoe.
Yeah.
Okay, so if he can do that, she can do that, right?
Yes. You know, and that's why I just wanted, you know, in my mind, like I said, I don't know about anybody else, but in my mind, I just wanted to give a clarification. So once you spelled the word out, I said, oh, okay.
Yes, but I'm asking, why would you need clarification? Because if that's how she wants to, if that's who she wants to be, if that's who she claims herself to be, that's how she sees herself, then what's the problem?
Oh, it's not a problem.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't understand why you were so perplexed.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. And so yesterday, I have some relatives that came in from out of town, came in from Chicago to visit for this, you know, for the holiday. And so yesterday, you know, we got together and we had an awesome conversation. It was awesome. I don't know, is it that we have become older? I don't know if we have become woke, as they say, or we have become conscious or whatever. But the conversation centered around this holiday, this 4th of July. And we started talking about, so in May, you had Mexican independence, Cinco de Mayo. Then in June, you had Juneteenth. And then in July, you had this 4th of July independence. And these holidays run basically, you know, consecutively in these, you know, June, July, May, June, and July. And so the conversation started to as we started the conversation, it was about, you know, do you celebrate? You know, do we celebrate the 4th of July? You know, do we understand about what was going on and everything? And you know, my family was like, yeah, we understand all this. We you know, understand that, you know, Black people want free. We understand that this, you know, this independence thing is not about us. You know, and so then it became, you know, if the question became, so are we celebrating it if we get together and we have a cookout and we visit? Are we celebrating it, or are we taking advantage of the day off, or taking advantage that we can come together as a family? And there were so many varied opinions about it. But the one thing that we all agreed was that this is not a holiday for Black people. And then it became a thing of, you know, if we have a cookout and we fellowship, does that mean we're participating in the holiday, or does it mean we're just having a get together? And so the question that I'm asking of our listening audience this morning, how do you perceive it? You know, do you think that because you get together, is that a participation in the holiday, or are you taking advantage of this time off, or taking advantage of being able to get together as a family or as friends? One of my cousins said this. He said, it does not matter if it's the 4th of July, the 4th of October, or the 4th of November. He went through these months. Anytime I got time to do a cookout or bring family together and friends, I'm going to do it. If I have the time to do it and I have the time off to do it, I'm going to do it. He said, it just so happens that the 4th of July is a day off. And that's how he looked at it. It's just a day off. And because it's just a day off, that I want to do something that I can bring my family and friends together. And so I just want to get everybody's opinion on it. How do you view it, this 4th of July day?
Oh, you want me to answer too?
Yeah.
I think that your family is doing what most Black people who are engaged in this conversation do, and you're just making an excuse, right? You said your cousin said, it just so happens that I'm off on the 4th of July. Now that's intentional. It's a federal holiday because they expect everybody to celebrate this nation's independence, and they want to give you time to celebrate this nation's independence on a day when your people were enslaved. And so to say, well, it just so happens that it's today. No, it's not. And so for you all to say, well, we're going to pretend like it doesn't have anything to do with the 4th of July. We're just getting together. But if you want to get together, you can decide any day to get together. Can you only get together on a day off? Can you only get together on a federal holiday? Of course not. You all as a family can decide, hey, we want to get together on Saturday, the September the 25th. I don't know. You all could do that if you wanted to. So to say, well, we're just taking advantage of it gives you an out, because anybody who is gathering together on this day in particular, where the whole country is celebrating the 4th of July, for you to say, nah, we just together, it's just an excuse.
Well, so if, let's say, and I like the way my cousin said it, he said that, what if it's November 4th? And on November 4th, that's National Pancake Day. So if I call the family together, my friends, and we're just going to get together, are we getting together to celebrate National Pancake Day? Or are we
I don't think you can compare National Pancake Day to the Independence Day of this country. So you're looking for ways to justify your actions so you can feel better about the fact that as a Black person, you are celebrating the 4th of July.
I don't think he was looking for it, even in the conversation. I don't think we were looking for a justification. What we were looking for is to see, are we complicit, or is it something that, because you're right, we can get together anytime, and we do. We get together whenever we feel like getting together, and it, like I said, it just so happens that what if it was the 5th of July? What if we decided tomorrow?
Then we wouldn't be having the conversation if it was the 5th of July.
Yeah. But then it would still be okay that I have a friend who works today, but he's off tomorrow, and so he wants to get together tomorrow.
We wouldn't be having the conversation if it wasn't July 4th. The whole point is that this is a day. Let me just read this one question that Frederick Douglass asks in his speech. He delivered this speech at Corinthian Hall in Rochester, New York on July 5th in 1852. And he starts out, well, I don't want to say he starts out, but part of the speech says, fellow citizens, pardon me, allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today, talking about on the 4th of July? What have I, or those I represent, talking about our African ancestors, the members of the African diaspora, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? That's the question that we all have to ask. So when you get together on the 4th of July and celebrate, now it would be different if you got together on the 4th of July and as a Black collective, you all sat down and talked about how you are going to move differently in these systems of oppression and domination and exclusion and war. It would be different if you all set a family agenda for how you all are going to work for cooperative economics so you can do things differently in your community. It would be different if that's what you all were gathering together for. I would say then absolutely you are not complicit. But when y'all gather talking about we finna have some hot dogs and french fries and hamburgers and we're gonna just chill and play cards and dominoes, oh, most definitely you are complicit.
And so here's the thing. So, and that's why I started the conversation out like this, that it was a great, it was awesome that we had these conversations. We had these conversations about how do we change our neighborhoods. We had the conversations about what can we do to change the trajectory of our family? What can we do to better educate our family members? What can we do? And the thing about it, that's why I said that for one of the first times, I think the only time that we have gotten together, especially the cousins, because it was just all cousins, that we have gotten together, and the main focus was a discussion about what do we do? How do we view this? We never had a discussion about the complicity of not just the 4th of July, but any holiday. We never got together to take ownership of what we're not doing and what we should do. And that was so fascinating about it. The main, when I talk about the main question, is that does it take a 4th of July for this to happen? And just because it was happening on 4th of July, does it mean that we were agreeing with this country and its independence? And so that's why the question was, that's why the conversation was so fascinating. And I think it was fascinating because we never sat down before, whether it was the 4th of July or any other time, that we wanted to have these conversations. It made me realize that sometimes we don't know because we're not in discussion like we should be, or we're not engaged as a family like we should be, that the minds and the ideas and the opinions are starting to change. There are things that are happening that are starting to force a different idea and a different agenda within our family.
But I want to read some more from the speech from Frederick Douglass, because he goes on to say this. Remember, this is a speech being given on July 4th, and he was invited to give this speech, and this is what he says. Fellow citizens, above your national tumultuous joy, I hear the mournful wail of millions whose chains, heavy and grievous yesterday, are today rendered more intolerable by the jubilee shouts that reach them. If I do forget, if I do not faithfully remember those bleeding children of sorrow this day, may my right hand forget her cunning, and may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. To forget them, to pass lightly over their wrongs, and to chime in with this popular theme would be treason, most scandalous and shocking, and would make me a reproach before God and the world. I think you gotta be careful what you're doing on the 4th of July.
And I agree with Frederick Douglass, is that we can't forget. We cannot forget what was going on when this so-called Declaration of Independence was signed. We can't forget about the enslavement. We can't forget about the torture. We can't forget about the control over Black bodies. We can't forget. And I think one of the things that I took away from my conversations with my family yesterday was the fact that now we're talking about it more, and we're looking at it and going deeper with it more, than we ever did before. And it goes back to the first thing I talked about when we started the show, is that a lot of times people don't want to talk about the issues. They want to, go around or circumvent the issue to try to change the opinions or the minds of somebody else instead of being engaged in the conversation. I think with my family, and I'm just talking about my family, there were a lot of times we did not have conversations like this because it would break down, because there were, feelings would get involved, opinions would be, people would have their opinions, and they would stand on their opinions. And if you came against their opinion, it would be, it could get tumultuous. But now, and that's one of the things we talked about was why now? What is going on now that facilitated us having these conversations? We talked about, is it what's going on in the political realm? Is it what's going on in what we see? Is it what's going on that now we're waking up to how the systems are starting to really, really affect us, where before it didn't? It did, but we didn't notice it. And so I think, to me, the great thing that came out of it was these conversations. Caller, you're on air.
Peace and love, y'all. Brother Solar being here. Now, this time of year, or the 4th of July, it's mostly about patriotism. And I'm wondering, since we have been institutionalized by the system of white supremacy, and seems like most holidays we are just mentally warped. And I'm wondering why we willfully and deliberately participate in all these, might well say that's a pagan holiday too. What is our out? Or do you think that we just so mentally warped and institutionalized by the system of white supremacy that we just don't have a choice but to try to be patriotic and participate?
Okay. All right. We'll get to that answer.
That's the question.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man. And he makes a point. He makes a point because there are a lot of people who, going back to what you said, Denise, about being participating in the 4th of July and all the things that it goes along with it. There are some people, there are some blacks who look at it as, I'm being patriotic. I'm being patriotic to my country. I'm being patriotic to this country and different things. But it's ironic that you're being patriotic to a country that in every area, in every system, in every aspect of your life, they're killing you.
Well, I also hear in what Solar Beam said, I also hear him saying, but are we so anesthetized? His words, are we so mentally warped that we don't even realize what we are doing? And because the social programming is so deep that we just go along to get along, so to speak. Like, so we find ourselves celebrating these holidays because that's what the world does, and we think that we're supposed to do whatever the world is doing. So we're not even thinking about how we are moving. We just know it's a holiday. We're supposed to celebrate. Come on, y'all, let's have a barbecue.
I think also when you say that let's go along and get along, I'm going to say it in a different way. I think sometimes we feel like, or people feel like, I'm going to get in where I fit in. If this will allow me to fit in, then I will do it.
Or even like your family. Your family said, oh, it's a holiday. I know it's a holiday that goes against the freedoms of my people, but we're going to take advantage of it and say, no, it's not about that. We are just excited to get together. And so you're using the holiday as an excuse to get together when, like I said, you don't have to just get together on this holiday. Well, I'm off. Yeah, you can take off another day. And so I think that's what Solar Beam in my mind is bringing attention to, that we're doing these things and we're participating in these things and we're not thinking about it. And then when somebody calls us on it, we're going to try to fix it. That's what we do all the time. We're going to try to fix our complicity instead of standing up and say, let me just say this. This is where Dr. Joy DeGruy, who I'm reading from Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and where Frederick Douglass from this speech on the 4th of July, here's where they collide for me. Frederick Douglass says, I shall see this day and its popular characteristics from the slave's point of view. And then Dr. DeGruy says, we got to make sure that we are feeling what our ancestors felt as they were going through. So if you take the 4th of July and you look at it through the slave's perspective and you feel what's happening in their body, I don't see how you can sit around and have a barbecue as a Black person.
Yeah, and so I keep saying this one thing. That's why the conversation yesterday was so deep and it was so revealing. Because everything, and what I love about it is that you had a perspective from every area you could have it from, and in the conversations, because the conversation we're having now, that we're talking about right now, that was part of the conversation we were having yesterday. The thing that was so great for me in my body was that we were having a conversation and you could see, even though there were people who would say, well, I do it because of this, or I do it because of that, or I look at it like this, or I look at it like that. At the end of everything, we all left with the idea of saying, I have to check myself. Maybe I've been wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Maybe I have to get a different perspective. And that's the great thing. Like I said, where it used to be, there would be a great breakdown where it would be, people get mad, people get upset. Oh, I ain't gonna call you no more. I ain't gonna talk to you no more. They would walk away feeling, feeling a certain type of way. But yesterday, it wasn't about that. It was about it was about trying to figure out, what do we do?
Yeah, and so y'all had a conversation yesterday on July 3rd, but today on July 4th, y'all gonna celebrate. Let me say this.
No, we're not.
Let me say this from Frederick Douglass' speech. Standing there identified with the American bondman, making his wrongs mine, I do not hesitate to declare with all my soul that the character and conduct of this nation never looked blacker to me than on this 4th of July. Whether we turn to the declarations of the past or to the professions of the present, the conduct of the nation seems equally hideous and revolting. America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly binds herself to be false to the future. So anybody Black celebrating July 1st today, you are complicit. You can call it what you want to call it. You are complicit. And you insult me and my ancestors. And I'm offended.
And so when I left last night, my cousin, the one who I still said that it didn't matter what day it was, he said something that just it didn't throw us off, but we saw that the conversation had affected him in a certain way. And he said, you know what? Y'all can come by and see me tomorrow. He said, but I'm gonna be watching TV. He said, he said, I think about a day off. I'm gonna chill. And I thought that was fascinating. And one of my other cousins, you know, she was like, well, who gonna be cooking? And everybody was like, I don't know, but it won't be us. And so I thought that was, and that was the whole point of me bringing this up, is that at some point you're having these conversations. If you can keep your emotions and feelings out of the conversation, and that's what happens with people who don't want to call in, or people who can't have the uncomfortable conversation because their feelings and their emotions get involved. If you can take your feelings and your emotions out and listen to the truth, or listen to facts, then it becomes better for you as you start to navigate how you're going to go forward.
I'm trying to think about that as who I am, who I know myself to be. I can't take my feelings out of the conversation. I can't. I don't know how to do that. I do know how to refuse to center them. I do know how to not to speak from a center from an emotional center. I know how to do that. But I think that part of the conversation is people are tapping into those feelings, tapping into those emotions as they're having a conversation, especially when it's a deep conversation, especially when it is a controversial conversation. And I think that is why you get uncomfortable. And I don't see a problem with being uncomfortable. It's about how we learn to navigate that uncomfortableness, that discomfort. And there's a way to do that. And I call it the left side of the page, where I feel these feelings boiling up, and I can't stop them, but I can grab hold to them. I can arrest them and pull them to the side long enough for me to hear the person and hear what they're trying to say, and then say, oh, okay, let me engage what they're saying with my feelings before I respond. And so I think what happens is, or what happened to you and your family yesterday, is you were practicing the art of conversation. And I think that is what is lost in this country. The art of conversation says, yes, I feel some kind of way about this. Yes, I have some thoughts about this, but I don't want to move from that space. I want to speak from a source of power. I want to speak from my center. And in order to do that, I got to learn how to manage my emotions. I don't think you have to just get rid of them.
Yeah. And so me and you had a conversation a few years ago where I said that a lot of people, don't know how to conversate. They know how to talk.
I remember that.
But they don't know how to conversate. You're right. Once you learn the art of conversation, then it's kind of like debate. Once you learn, if you ever been in a debate class, you learn how to, as you say, look at the left side, or center your emotions to where your feelings, to where I can debate this, but I'm not going to let it get to the point where now I'm just going off, because it touched the nerve. And
yeah, because debate teaches you to focus on the issue.
Right.
And so when I was taking classes about public speaking, you would have to debate an issue that you disagreed with. You had to figure out, how do you present your case with something that you disagree with as an exercise in learning how not to lead with your emotions.
Yeah, and so that's why when you are just talking, and most of the time when you are just talking, you might not have all the facts. Your facts may be skewed. You may be relying on lies that someone has told you. You may be relying on other things that now you're standing on. And I'll be the first to admit that was one of my problems. I'm still learning how to navigate it. But one of my problems was that this is a truth that I believe. And because I believe this truth, that if someone else brings in facts or even challenges that truth, and what would be difficult for me, if something was said that dispelled part of my truth, I wouldn't know what to do if I would get upset. And now I'm trying to pull myself away from the conversation because I can't have it anymore. And so my emotions and my feelings will get involved. And next thing you know, as we said, it goes left. It's going left. It's going left. And so that's one of the things that is so important. And I believe there are shows on KABF that center the truth. This is the truth. Now, if you don't want to believe the truth, fine. But if you sit and you listen to the truth, then you may get a better understanding, may question your truth, that may say, you know what, that makes sense. Going back to the person, to the woman who called and said, you need to quit bashing Donald Trump. Well, if I tell the truth, he has been convicted of 34 counts. Mm-hmm. He has been indicted 91 times. Mm-hmm. He is a liar. Okay. So those are truths. That's not bashing anybody. Those are truths. Now, if your truth is he's none of that, then fine. Then fine.
But I don't even hear this conversation from this woman being about truth. For me, it's about control. I want you to stop talking about Donald Trump. I want you to stop, and I'm calling in to tell you what I want, what I am expecting you to do. I've called you, I've told you how I feel, and now I want you to respond to me by stopping what I'm asking you to stop. This is about control, if you ask me. It's not about the truth.
And you know what? I when you said that, it gave me a flashback, and I think you're right. So before Denise became the host of Community Voices, for our longtime listeners, it was Robert Webb, Neil Seeley, and me. And there was this one show that we invited Joan Adcock, who is the at-large award director. And while she was on the show, the conversation was about residency for police officers. She introduced the resolution to the city board, the ward director to the city board, and she had introduced it a couple of years earlier. And she was an advocate for it. Once her grandson became a police officer in Little Rock, she reversed her stance, and now she was against residency. So while she was here in the station, Robert Webb and Neil were pushing back. Why did you change? You worked for this, and now you change. Why? And she said, well, I don't want my grandson to have to live in the neighborhoods that he was policing. And we said, why? If he's a police officer, he may be able to stop it. Well, I don't think it's right. And so as Robert and Neil were questioning her, well, why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he? She said that, well, I didn't come on the show for both of you to attack me. And Rob said, we're not attacking you. We're just questioning why you changed, And then she looked over at me. Well, you're management. Make them stop. I said, I can't make them stop. This is their show. And you agreed to come on the show. So why should I make them stop? And I never forget the look she gave me. Like, how dare you allow them to attack, to do this to me? Me, who is, this white woman, and this black lover. How do you allow them to do that? And because it's their show. I can't stop it. And they're not doing anything that's they're just asking you questions. And so you're right. I think it does go back to white people who want to control the narrative and who feel that I should be able to just say it, and then it's just not.
And then I threaten you with a consequence, right? So this woman who calls in says, I'm not going to watch your show anymore because you bashed Donald Trump. But if you stop bashing Donald Trump, I'll watch your show. And so the expectation would be that you want her listenership so bad that you will do what she says because she, in her mind, is that valuable to you. And so they want, not only they want you to control you, but also want you to recognize how valuable I am to you. Because if I stop listening to you, oh, now your show going to go down.
Yeah, KABF, like I said, will come up on 40 years. And we have had so many controversial shows that people say, I'm not going to listen anymore, I'm not going to do anything anymore, and we have survived. So, caller, you're there.
Yes, I wanted to remind people, well, I think my radio might be up, excuse me. I want to remind people that when we do get together, most times it turns either tacky, trashy, or terroristic. But try to keep a constructive mindset when you're with your loved ones, and really it's all about balance between people. That's what we call one part of justice. So keep in mind to try to be on the side of justice and have a constructive mindset. If you do have to get together, we used to always say no contact, no conflict, but because our culture, and culture is what people do, is so flawed, we now, since we say everybody is waking up, keep in mind, if you do get together, to not to be trashy, tacky, or terrorist. Again, peace and love to all.
Peace and love to you, man. And so, like I said, the one thing that I enjoyed more than anything yesterday is that the ability to have conversations, have this conversation with my family, and to try to come up with ways that how do we overcome some of the systems, how do we overcome some of our own complicity, how do we overcome some of our own, and how do we own up to where we are. And that was the beauty of it. And I think, going back to what you said, Denise, if more people would be willing just to sit and have that conversation, I think progress truly can be made. All right, hey, so it is close to us getting out of here. I hope everybody enjoyed the rest of their day. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out. See you Monday.
Hi.
Domino's in the park tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Domino's in the park tomorrow.
In the actual park.
In the actual park, Petaway Park on 21st Street. All right, see you later.
Bye, hotel.